Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And in this video I want to share with you guys my CM Wizard 69.0. Wait, 2.0, sorry. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. But yeah, it's really strong in D4 and its only real weakness right now is literally its own strength. Like it kills everything too fast, or there's nothing to actually withstand its power so it can ramp up and really just explode like old CM Wizard used to in D3, vanilla D3. I love that build so much. So the real thing that makes this whole build really tick is Ice Blades and its skill points, the modifiers. Ice Blades cooldown is reduced by 1 second each time it hits a vulnerable enemy. Easy enough, every time you hit a vulnerable enemy, 1 second. But 50% of Ice Blades cooldown reduction is applied to your other skills. So you'll get half a second back each time Ice Blades hits a vulnerable enemy. So a big thing is to make enemies vulnerable, obviously, so you can hit them with Ice Blades, reducing the cooldowns, and you see where this is going. It's just a chain reaction of cooldowns all over the place, and the easiest way to apply vulnerable on Sorc, there's actually quite a few ways, but most of the revolves are on Frost, with Frost Nova being literally the easiest. You press it, sends out a big AoE around you, everything around you is frozen, and with your points in it is also taking vulnerable damage. Frost Nova makes enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds, increased to 8 seconds against bosses. And then we have a legendary that gives us 2 charges over there, so you get even more. So you can see where this is going. It's like a chain reaction of craziness all the time. So let me hop into the skill tree before I just like rant on about how amazing this build really works together. Basic points doesn't matter. Take whatever you want. You just need to put 2 points there so you can actually progress further down the tree. And over here, nothing has cooldown either. So again, we're kind of skipping this tree. We put 3 points into potent warding. After casting a non-basic skill, you gain 6% resistance to all elements and 3% additional resistance to that skill's element. So obviously you will be doing a lightning skill, a frost skill, and a fire skill. So you get resist to all of those elements, and then you also gain resist to all elements. So you get a lot of resistances. Really tanky build. And then there I put 1 point in there just to get further down because there's literally nothing else for me to do. So devastation there, maximum mana is increased by 3, and it also works really well with another legendary we do have that I will show you guys later. And then we go further down the tree. Over here, if you don't have things that actually give you points into these, you'll need to put 1 point into flame shield, 1 point into ice armor. The skills after them is not really that important. Although Flame Shield, you could take this one, gives you 25% movement speed, but I have a lot of other synergies giving you movement speed already. So I guess if you wanted to go a little bit faster, put 1 point in there. Maybe once launch comes out, we'll actually have more skill points to spend. And then the most important thing to pick up here is Frost Nova. You just need 1 point in Frost Nova, and then you need to pick up both of these Mystical Frost Nova and Enhanced Frost Nova, obviously to get the Vulnerable on there. It's your main source of Vulnerable over there. As well as Ice Barrier, Ice Armor. If you don't actually have an item giving you one like I do there, put a point into Ice Armor. You will need Ice Armor for this build. And then we come further down and we pick up Ice Blades. This is the big boy of the build. Without this, the build won't work. So you put as many points as you can in there. I think about 3 to 4 points is enough because the damage scaling in this isn't actually that high. And it kind of hurts the build right now if the damage on Ice Blade scales high because it will kill things too fast, and you need it to hit more often so that it can actually proc your cooldown on the vulnerable enemies. So you see, you don't actually want Ice Blades to deal too much damage. Obviously later on in a full game, yeah, you'll definitely want to max out Ice Blades once we can get furthermore with harder enemies and stuff like that. But right now, 2 to 3 points in Ice Blades is more than you need, and then enhance Ice Blades along with summon Ice Blades as well. And then we pick up 3 points in Conjuration Mastery, just because we'll do increase 3% damage for active conjurations, which will obviously be all our Ice Blades. And as well, we will be using 1 point in Lightning Spear. Again, put a point in there if you don't have it on your armor piece. So basically all these passives over here, really, I just put them in there because I had the spare points. But if you guys don't have all the items with all these increases to your bonus, like stuff like that, like skills, just ignore these passive points. This is one you can completely take out, just extra free damage. You could take those 3 points out there and then distribute them wherever you need. Again, with this one as well, Agile Elements just gives you damage reduction against elites they haven't taken damage from one up to 50%. But then the main thing there is protection. Using a cooldown grants 10% of your maximum life as a barrier for 5 seconds. 10% as max life. That's a lot of barrier quite there because you get hit all the time with your cooldowns. So again, just 1 point there, 1 point there. And that again, completely optional depending on your items. Then we come on down, we don't pick up anything in the mastery skill tree, no cooldowns over there. There is this increased barrier duration, but honestly you have so much barrier and like damage reduction, you're not going to ever need that anyway. So I just skipped that one over there. And then I put 1 point into permafrost. Frost deals 5% increased damage to elites. And then we pick up 2 in icy touch. You deal 8% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Again, if you don't have, this is the only reason I can pick all this stuff up is because I got lucky with all the armor pieces on all my skills. So if you don't have all of that stuff there, just put it into the skills like we said before. Lightning spear, I don't actually have any points into lightning spear right now, so that's a free one for me. And then ice armor is free, and then flame shield is free. So I have 3 free skill points, basically these ones there from ultimate. So your build would pretty much look the same, except you wouldn't have points in over there unless you have the items as well. So that is it for the skill tree. And then the best part about this build is literally the legendaries. There is so much synergy going on here. Let me show you guys. So first one, basic skill grants 25% damage reduction. We never get that, that's completely useless. So besides that one, everything else is really good. As well, you want to try and get cooldown reduction on your gear. I believe you can get it on the helmet and the amulet so far. I'm not exactly sure where else we can get it. I unfortunately don't have it on these, but yeah, you want to go for cooldown reduction on your gear. Oh yeah, you gain increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage. So again, just armor, and armor is obviously damage reduction. You'll be dealing a lot of damage anyway. So a nice little one to have there. And yeah, lightning spear has a 14% chance to spawn an additional lightning spear. Lightning spear is this little thing over there, and it's a cooldown as well. So that's nice just for the added extra damage of having another lightning spear fly around. Frost Nova gains an additional charge, but the cooldown burst charge is increased by 36%. Now this one, I think it's pretty good, but you could play around with it or not. It just gives you another charge on Frost Nova and increases its cooldown. But doesn't really matter with the increased cooldown because we reset our cooldown so fast anyway. Just having 2 charges that is really nice because that's your main way of applying vulnerability and freezing targets. But the main thing obviously being the vulnerable to then proc the cooldown with your ice blades. You always want to start with Frost Nova before you put up ice blades so that they're already vulnerable once it comes out. And then moving on, critical strikes grant 40% movement speed. We're hitting so much all the time, and eventually in the late game build I'll definitely want to be stacking crit chance and cooldown reduction with this. So we will be critting a lot to increase your movement speed. So, you know, just get increased movement speed. That's the movement speed I was talking about. And yeah, you deal 37% more damage to immobilized, stunned, or frozen enemies. They're pretty much going to be frozen 99% of the time. As well, you want to put an emerald in both your weapons to increase your critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. And then we move over here. Your lucky hit chance is increased by 29% while you have a barrier. We literally have a barrier the whole time. This is not necessary, it's just something I had on there, so I put it on. And while ice armor is active, you leave behind exploding ice spikes that deal 106 damage. Your ice spikes chill enemies for 10%. And if you chill enemies enough, they'll actually become frozen again. They're frozen and become vulnerable, so it all just adds up. But that again is nothing, you don't really need it. It's just added there. I'm really using this ring because of the vulnerable damage. You see the ring over there has 14% increase for vulnerable damage, as well with this next ring again, vulnerable damage, and then lightning damage as well. But there you deal 10% increased damage for each second you stand still. That actually is not in the end of the world, but it's really nice for bosses because you just be standing still and then spamming. You're literally spamming your keyboard with all your skills. This adds up to more damage over time. And then we have deal 33% increased damage while you have a barrier active. So again, massive damage there. And then one legendary that I would definitely add to this mix is increases your damage based on your primary resource, because we never ever use our mana and we have the 3 points to give us more mana, so it will be giving us more damage since it is our primary resource. But I believe it might be on core skills, that legendary. So again, we don't use any core skills. So actually, is Frost Nova core skill? No, it's a defensive, so we literally don't have. So that is really it to this build. As you can see, this build is crazy. It synergizes really well with itself. It has a lot of legendary synergizing with it, and it does a lot of damage. And the weakness right now is it literally does too much damage. Like, you can't, because for it to have the cooldown proc, obviously your ice blades need to hit the target multiple times, but they die so fast. So the clear speed is like, it's okay, it's not bad, but there's definitely other builds that can clear a lot faster than this. But the bossing and the utility of this build is insane. You played in a 4-man group and you're literally there freezing everything, applying vulnerable to everything, the group is going to love you. And in a group play, all the mods will have more health anyway, so you can actually get the whole ball rolling a lot faster. So I recommend this as a group build. And then obviously for harder content, once we get it in the full launch of D4, like the Nightmare Dungeon and stuff like that, enemies will probably have a lot more health anyway. So then you could take full advantage of this build, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out in D4 so we can, I mean like the full release, so we can try it out in full. When it does come out, you could bet I will be making a video on it and trying it out. I think I might pick Sorc as my first class to level to max anyway. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you did, please drop a like and a sub. Helps me out so much, and I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the